Welcome to another episode of College Cash Corner. We are your hosts, Tara,
Natalia,
and Victor.
Today we're going to be talking about common financial myths related to financial success. Before we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to the New Media Lab who helps make this podcast possible. The myth that we have is if it's more expensive, it's better. What are your thoughts on that?
It kind of goes along with the words that buy cheap, get cheap. And I do somewhat believe that because, well, I more believe that when it comes to physical products. So, like, whether that be like a console or like a laptop or, a lawnmower or anything like that, I feel like if you spend more, you're getting a better quality than you would for something cheaper.
I want to take that example. You said a laptop, right?
Okay.
So if you had two computers, they had the same everything, except one is priced a few $100s more. Are you going to buy the higher priced one? Or are you going to buy the lower priced one? They do exactly the same things.
That kind of reminds me of like brands when it comes to phones, Apple or Android. For that
Right.
one, now that you brought up that,
Yeah.
I'll go with a cheaper option. I mean,
problem with this myth is when there's absolutely no difference. A very good example of this is clothes,
exactly.
where we see the same t-shirt in every store and it just has a different the brand or a different like something like a very tiny single thing that it tells you that it's from a different brand and therefore the price is 10 times more expensive.
Okay.
But it's exactly the same quality or the same material even, and you are just paying for the name. Where I think this myth comes through, like this myth is totally false and is saying that if you pay more expensive, you're receiving a better quality. So I think it's more of how much it takes to do that product or how much features that product can offer you, and if the price is justifying that features that you need. It's important to consider what is fits with your needs.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important to evaluate too when researching a product. Because I also know people that prefer to spend on very expensive clothes just to show off, and in that way they can get good investors in their companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it also has a purpose if you see it in that way. But if it's your Sunday t-shirt to do nothing, being in your couch, okay, then you might want to spend your money in other ways and not just in the name of a t-shirt.
It's all about the person's mindset. I have like an uncle that's like, as long as it gets me from point A to point B, I don't care what vehicle gets me there, I don't care what I buy.
That's true.
If it's expensive, you're expecting something else, but when it's something cheap, more likely you are getting something that is not a good quality.
Right.
Yes.
Like, I think in that myth is kind of right, but in the other way, not always.
So doing the research to figure out, is this really what you need? Does this fit your needs? I use, making big purchases, I use consumer reports.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a public library card, you can access consumer reports, the latest editions, for free.
And I think we do it a lot with big purchases, but if you think about it, we should do it with most of our purchases because even small purchases that we make every day can become a big amount of money that we spend in our budget at the end of the month if we are not looking for good quality.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I remember going to what was that term called? Like a pulga or something like that?
Con mercado de pulgas.
Yes, there you go.
It's like a second-hand market most of the times, or imported from like China. Like it's also referred to a type of market where you can find like everything.
Yeah.
I went there, bought some boots, waste of purchase. Literally got destroyed in a year. The sole was coming off, the nails were starting to not be well, and then like the materials just started to fade away because of all the dancing stuff like that.
Yeah.
When I got my actual good pair of boots, I still have it to this day.
How long have you had them?
4 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
You wear them often?
Often, yeah. And it also just comes down to like buy cheap, get cheap. It also comes down to the person. How well does he keep care of it?
Yes. One of the big things that I hear, and I also thought this for a very long time, is that financial success is determined by your income. In other words, the more money you make, the more financially successful you are.
That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So money certainly helps, right? The more income you make.
But also it depends of your management, because it depends your fixed expenses. Like if you have very high fixed expenses and you cannot move them, or that's just the life that you prefer to live, it does not matter how much money you are earning.
Yeah, if you make more money and therefore then spend more money, yeah, you're not gonna. It's not gonna change anything.
You're basically in the same boat, just as higher expenses.
Just the dollar signs are bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I looked up some information about this, and I wanted to share this. What do you think the top 5 careers of millionaires are?
A surgeon.
Lawyers, something related with finance, like either financial advisor or that work for banks, CEOs from companies.
Engineers.
You named 3 of the 5. The ones that were mentioned: engineer,
Okay.
accountant, so someone working
Accountant,
in finance, a CPA specifically, a certified public accountant,
Okay.
attorney, so lawyer. So the other 2 are management and teachers.
Oh, teachers?
Yeah,
What?
that surprised me too. I guess that just goes to show. So financial success is based on money management. I'm going to read a few other statistics here. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 6%, which is about 8 million households, of Americans make $100,000 or more per year. Only 6%. 75% of individuals earning $50,000 or less are living paycheck to paycheck. So real quick, living paycheck to paycheck means that
you pay your needs with your check.
Yeah, and it goes to 0,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you're waiting for that next paycheck to come. So should something happen, you lose your job, or something like that happens, or maybe you weren't able to work as many hours this week as you were last week, therefore your check is going to be less. It's going to cause a financial problem for you. Okay, so 75% of individuals earning $50,000 or less are living paycheck to paycheck. 65% of those earning $50,000 to $100,000 are also living paycheck to paycheck. Of those earning $100,000 or more per year, 45% reported living paycheck to paycheck. So earning more money
doesn't mean,
making more money decreases your likelihood, let's say, of living paycheck to paycheck or being more financially stable, because more money does help. But it just goes to show that the money management is the most important part of that.
I think it makes sense, because when you are lacking in resources, you learn how to optimize those resources. And when you feel the freedom of having like unlimited resources or more resources, you are less caring about how do you spend those resources. And I can see myself like going through this. Like, when I had just a little amount, like growing up, of money from my parents for my lunch, I would really think about how I was spending that money for my lunch. Like, it was like, no, I don't need that. I prefer to eat this other thing, and I will like be very careful in my decisions. And now that I have a job, I take more rational decisions of how do I spend my money.
How we spend our money and what we spend it on can be determined by how we got that money.
If you win a lottery, you're more likely to donate that than to actually do something with it. Does that make sense? Because it hasn't been earned.
Oh, interesting. I did look up a statistic that said that people who win the lottery, 3 to 5 years after winning the money, 1 in 3 lottery winners are broke again.
And I think that is really relevant for us as students to create habits, because I feel like we don't prioritize our financial education that much, because we leave it for the future. We leave it like, oh, once we start getting money, I'm going to be more careful in my decisions. If you're not careful with your decisions now, like, how are you expecting to be more careful in the future? Because as we show, like, it's not going to increase your management skills unless you do something about it.
Right. It's the habits. You have to have the right habits. And it's hard to break bad habits. It's so hard to break bad habits. And then also being financially successful, investing. Investing is one of the best ways to build wealth. Wealthy people oftentimes don't look wealthy because they're spending their money on the things that they value, that are valuable to them, rather than trying to portray an image of being wealthy.
They mostly buy assets and liabilities.
Right. Before we go, we want our listeners to remember that college is your gateway to a brighter financial future. At MCC, we're here to help you master your money. Visit the financial literacy section of our financial aid website to book a one-on-one appointment, access your free cash course account, and stay updated on workshops and events. Stay informed, stay savvy, and keep climbing.